There's a ton of noise out there. So how do you get decision makers to pay attention to your brand? Start a podcast and invite your ideal clients to be guests on your show. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with Dave Otten. He is the CEO of JW Player. Dave, how you doing today, man?
Great, James. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to chat with you today, Dave. We're going to be talking about video intelligence today, which really is, the next phase of innovation in digital video. But before we dive into that, Dave, I want you to just explain to our listeners why you are the guy to be talking about this. Can you tell us a little bit about JW Player and what you and your team are up to over there?
Yeah, sure. In JW Player, I'm one of the co-founders as well. And so we've been around for a decade. And we originally started as an open source video player that gained huge traction among developers, designers, et cetera, in the 2007-2008 timeframe. In fact, YouTube, if you ever watch video on YouTube, their video player was JW.
Oh, wow.
And what we're able to do from that beginning point is that we're able to build organically by establishing a strong community of developers and designers who were supporting our open source project. We're able to build this massive and very strong community who actually helped spread the word of our technology over these many years. As the years went on, we slowly began to commercialize JW Player. We added additional technology around the player, including the whole video content management system that has also become very popular. And we just, again, over a period of many years, built this community. And today, that community is absolutely massive. So if you go to JW Player, each month, over 500,000 sites are live with JW Player. And what that means is if you watch video on Vice, that's our technology, or a Hearst property, that's our technology as well, or Fox, or the Weather Company, et cetera. And so our video software stack powers many, many, many of the companies that many of you out there are watching video on today. And probably most folks don't realize that. But what we're able to do with that visibility, we see 500,000 sites are live with JW. But what we see on top of that, we collect a lot of really interesting data of what people are watching on those 500,000 sites. And that data set is now absolutely massive. So each month, to give you a few stats, James, each month over 1 billion people will go to one of those 500,000 sites to watch at least one video on a JW Player.
Wow. They'll
consume about 15 billion video views. And we'll see somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 5 billion ads go through our technology. And so what that means, if someone goes to Vice, watches a video there, we see the content that they've watched. And then later in the month, if they go to PBS, another one of our customers, we see what you've watched there. And so we're able to see across 1 billion people, which is 1/7 of the world's population, how people are consuming video. That means what they're watching, how much of the video they're watching. Was an ad delivered? Did they watch that ad? And then we can see how they travel across the network. And those insights are incredibly powerful and incredibly important to the future of video intelligence and what we believe the next stage of innovation in video is. And so given that long sort of history in the world of video, but importantly, given the fact that we've been able to aggregate one of the largest data sets in video in the world, we think it's a really interesting topic, and we think we're pretty well qualified to speak to how that data is going to drive innovation in the future for digital video.
I love it. So to the B2B marketer listening to this, Dave, what would be an example of how a marketer could capitalize on the kind of intelligence that you guys have access to?
Yeah, we've seen the two biggest problems that we've seen in video, maybe kind of the dirty secret of video, if you will, are the following. One is there's a ton of people consuming video, but the reality is so many of our customers want more people watching more video. So there's a shortfall of quality video views that a marketer or brand wants to advertise against. So there's an imbalance between the supply of quality video views that are high quality, good content, good experience that a brand like an auto brand or a CPG brand wants to market against. So that there's that imbalance there in terms of views. The other big problem that we see is just access to data to help inform monetization. So understanding or having more insight into what the video is, how someone's consuming the video, et cetera, and being able to bring that all together. And so for marketers who are looking to reach segments and reach audiences, we're using our data today to be able to help those folks get access to data sets that they can then enrich their existing data around who their customers are today to understand those customers who buy a Tide in the grocery store. They're also going to these handful of sites and they're watching these specific videos. And it really helps inform Tide in this example that I'm using. It really helps them be able to access that person, reach that person, and more importantly, get an understanding of what that person might do next to help inform a purchase of their next bottle of Tide. And so we're using all those data and insights to provide really granular insights at a content and individual level for video that helps inform any one of those folks out in the marketplace who are looking to reach those users.
Got it. And so if a marketer is trying to target, somebody, in looking for some sort of technology solution, you could say, okay, in our industry, folks in our industry watch these type of how-to videos, or there's a prolific thought leader in the space. You guys could then be able to say, okay, based on people watching this video, they also watch these types of videos. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, you're getting it right. And so, and what the marketer can do is someone who watches this video on Vice also goes to Cosmo Magazine, one of our customers, and watches this video there. And so you're able to make connections at an individual level and also at the content level of how the same users, where their interests might lie. And that's incredibly powerful for a marketer who might not think to reach out to those users on those different sites. They might not understand that the person who buys the Honda, right, is also going to Cosmo Magazine to watch the next fashion video. And so to the extent that we can actually make those connections and make it more efficient for marketers to be successful in reaching those folks, then that's a big win for everyone in the ecosystem.
Have you seen those really fun-looking infographics at conferences? They're basically a cartoon representation of the main takeaways from the keynote speaker's talk. Well, we've started doing those for some of our B2B growth interviews. I posted the first one on LinkedIn, and the response was amazing. There's no way that I'd be able to afford those types of graphics, though, if it weren't for Kappa 99. For just $399 a month, Kappa 99 offers an unlimited graphic design service. And it really is unlimited. They do all of the images for our blog. They've done all of our pricing sheets, our case studies. They can even handle the creative for your ad campaigns. So head over to b2bgrowthshow.com/design and sign up for their 15-day free trial. That's b2bgrowthshow.com/design. Your life is about to get a whole lot easier. All right, let's get back to this interview.
So you alluded earlier, Dave, to this idea of audience building. It's something I hear B2B marketers talking about all the time. It's like, how do we get audience? How do we get audience? How do we get audience? From seeing, all of the data that you've seen, is there a particular type of video content that seems to do an exceptional job at the, audience building part of it?
We see a lot of different types of video, right? News categories, arts and entertainment, sports, etc. What I really have not seen is that there a specific vertical or type of content that works best to drive more audience. What it ultimately comes down to is just creating what we see as great content, right? So content that's super compelling to end users that want them to, watch more. So certainly sort of compelling content is the first thing. The other big thing in helping to drive audiences and thereby helping marketers reach those audiences is like helping end users discover video, right? So it's really hard to I might watch this one video we had the Olympics was on JW Player in Europe, in Eurosport. I might watch, a video or the Olympics on the ski jump. And I might have then also go to Fox and watch National Geographic as part of the Fox family and watch a video on nationalgeographic.com that uses JW Player. Being able to understand those connections and do things like recommend or push the relevant video based off that user behavior so they discover insight or discover videos they might not be able to discover is really important. And so one of the things that we're doing with our data at JW Player is that we've created a recommendations engine that's informed by the knowledge of the network to help, end users who go watch video on all our different customer sites be able to discover the right videos that's relevant to them based off their previous behavior that we've seen them demonstrate. And that again, it helps people watch more videos we've seen. It also helps them spend more time watching videos. So they're watching a greater percentage of a video to completion, for example. So those kind of dynamics are really important. Compelling content and also helping discovery. Those are the big things that we think, help our customers, which then help marketers reach those audience at a much greater scale.
Got it. I love it. Dave, this has been fantastic. You've obviously have a wealth of wisdom when it comes to this stuff. Is there anything else that, as it relates to video intelligence, that you think our audience needs to hear before I let you go today?
Yeah, I think there's one other thing. So we've talked a lot about how you use video intelligence to drive audience and to help marketers reach those audiences to be more effective in their purchasing. I think the last part where video intelligence really matters is actually it's at the front end. It's actually creating the best possible video playback experience. And we use data and understanding of what the best experience is for a user to make sure that people actually see the video. So what I mean by that is if you're watching a video on your mobile device, it's a 3G network, let's say, so it's a slow network. We use video intelligence and insights to make sure that we load the proper components of a video player given your bandwidth connection. So we load less of the player to get to that first frame so someone actually sees the video. What we think a lot about is video intelligence helps and it's all about speed. So video intelligence helps drive player performance and speed, which gets people to stay engaged. And so the last piece about it, and the thing never to sort of for a marketer or a publisher or anyone in the video world, always think about how you can actually optimize the player experience itself. How can you make sure that the user sees the first frame of video as fast as possible? The data we collect from all of our players actually helps us do that in a much more effective way. One example is if a publisher has set on his or her site, they have an auto start feature where the video will auto start without hitting play. Now, an advertiser wants to make sure if they're going to advertise against that video, they want to make sure that a user is actually watching the video. And so one way we use video intelligence for user experiences is that when if a player is set to auto start, it will only play if we know that the actual video player is in view on the screen, depending on how a user's scrolling up and down the screen, right? And that's really great for the publisher because they're getting a better user experience. It's better for the advertiser because they know their ads being seen, and just creates an overall great player experience. That's another example of how we use video intelligence for user experience type stuff.
I love it. Dave, again, this has been fantastic. If there's somebody listening, they want to stay connected with you, they want to learn more about JW Player, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Yeah, just reach out to me directly. I'm Dave, D-A-V-E, at jwplayer.com, and would love to speak to anyone who wants to reach out.
Awesome, Dave. Well, again, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to staying connected.
Thanks, James. Take care.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. we'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.